Gotta have my notes here, even though my notebook is falling apart. OMG. This color theory. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leslie. If you don't know me, today's video we are doing the color theory video. So how to pair your eyeshadows using different colors or colors that you don't think would match together. If you want to hear about how to pair these colors together and how to just make your makeup a little more creative, then just keep on watching. Alright guys, so before we try anything on the eyes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of info on color theory. Color theory is used in a lot of things. I'm not a professional makeup artist, but I've been into art since forever. In high school I was into art. I know about colors and stuff like that. I'm not saying that I'm a professional. This is what I know. This is what I known from doing just art projects and stuff like that. I used to do drawings, paintings, ceramics, all kinds of art stuff a while back. I don't do it as much now, but I do know a little bit about art. So that does pertain to, of course, makeup, because it is colors, putting colors together. So I'm just gonna give you a little bit of information here about color theory. Okay, so what do we know about color theory? Color theory is just the colors on this wheel that tell you what are your complementary colors, what colors pretty much go with what. If you guys don't know about the color wheel, I will put a picture over here, something like go around here on the screen or even on the front of me right now so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So color wheel represents the colors that are most commonly used. This whole color wheel just starts off of our three primary colors, which are red, blue, and yellow. If you mix those three together, you get your secondary colors, which are orange, purple, and green. And then from there it goes into your tertiary colors, which is mixing yellow with orange, so it gives you a yellow orange, a red orange, that kind of thing, and it just keeps going on and on and on until you make all these colors. So when you mix all of these three together, even if you were just to mix the three primary colors together, you get a color brown pretty much, or this dark kind of black, but it's a brown. So that's what happens when you put it on the eye. There's so much other stuff that goes into this. So this brown color, that's what happens when you over blend colors on your eye. So you're gonna get this ugly brown muddy color when you're blending these colors together. There's a way to still use colors that you don't think that would go together. A lot of it for me was trial and error, but then again also having that in the back of your mind of color theory and what colors are what. So like complementary colors are colors that are right across from the wheel. So say red and green or blue and orange. Those colors are always gonna match, are gonna look good together just because they're right across from each other. They obviously are complementary of each other. So like if you were gonna use purple and yellow, those two would be good together because they're right across from each other. Now when you're expanding more on that color wheel and getting different colors, different shades of green, different shades of purple, different shades of red, blues, reds, pinks, all those kinds of colors, and you put it into eyeshadows, you just gotta keep that in the back of your mind. Sometimes if you over blend these colors together, they are gonna turn out this yucky muddy brown color that you're not gonna want your shadows to look like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off my eyeshadow so you guys can see what I am talking about. When you want to blend an eyeshadow out, you're gonna want to use a shadow that's in between those colors. So if I'm using red and green, I would use something in between to blend that out, or even a lighter shade of a green or a lighter shade of a red or something like that usually will blend out those shadows the way you want them to. Like I said, take this off my face and I will be right back. So we are going to get started here. I brought a few palettes out so that we can work with, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There is a lot that goes into color theory. That is not everything. It's just a lot, and I don't want to just put it all in one video for you guys. Like I said, color theory is a lot of stuff. If you guys want to know, Samantha Ravndahl has a really good video on color theory and eyeshadows as well. If you guys want a little bit of more info, she's really good at explaining all of that. I kind of gave you just a little bit so you guys know what I'm talking about, but she does have some really good color theory videos out there, so check those out. I feel like I kind of have an advantage of it, like I said, just because of my art background, that I do enjoy art, so that is why I have that kind of mentality already. So that is why I think for me it's easier to just pick up a palette and go crazy with the colors, because I kind of know. Anyways, this is the Morphe 35B palette. They don't have this anymore, but it does have every shade here, so I kind of just wanted to pick up something like this. Or even if you guys have like one of the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes, those are pretty good for you to practice on. Something that I wanted to show you guys, if you have just a normal eyeshadow palette at home, like say this one, this is the Morphe 35M, the Boss Mood palette. This one is very fall-like, but not only that, the way that the shadows are placed are very user-friendly, so that is something to look out for when you're looking at palettes and what colors to pair together. So here you can do a quad, so like these 4 shadows here would be good together. This is what is good about some of these Morphe palettes. A lot of the Morphe palettes are actually like this, where they have the colors that go with each other next to each other, so they work out great. You can use this whole first row right here and make a look with it. You can use this hole here, you can use these going down. There's just so many ways for you to look at your palette. When it's more scattered, so like this one, and you don't know what colors to place with next to each other, it's kind of hard if you're not like artsier like that, just because say like this one, it looks scattered, it looks like they don't flow, but if you really think about it and you're trying to make a look like these 4 here that are next to each other, definitely would be a good makeup look together. These 4 right here would be a good makeup look. These 3 right here, this 3 right here. Now when you get to this side, it's a little bit more complicated because the colors on this side don't seem like they match, but if you put them together, they actually do work, because I've used orange and blue together before. I've used blue and this pink before together. So the way that you're gonna plan these out is just gonna be with a lighter shade of whatever color you're using. So like I said earlier, if you have a red that you're working with, you're gonna want a lighter shade of red, or even green, because that is going to blend it out, because they are complementary colors. So I want to pull up a look that I have done before that wouldn't seem like the colors go together, but once you have them on the eye, they work out really well. So this look right here, you see like green and pink and gold and yellow. So I brought that yellow onto the crease there because I wanted to bring that element of the gold, the yellow gold, onto the transition shade as well, so that you still have that flow of the color. So let's go ahead and use some shades here, and I will show you guys. I'm gonna bring you guys in closer so you guys see what I am talking about. Right now I don't have any primer on or anything like that. I'm not worried about that right now. Say I wanted to pair orange and purple, so I'm gonna use this palette right here. This is the Norvina palette, and say I wanted to use orange and purple together. So I wanted to use this orange down here and this purple all the way up here. Now I'm gonna look at this palette and say, okay, what color is in between those shades, or what color can I use that will complement both shades? So if it looks like it's a shade that is mixed with a different color, not like a true orange, like this one looks like it's not a true orange. I mean, it looks like an orange, but it looks like more of a melon orange, kind of like a peachy orange. So it has some yellow in it. So I'm gonna pick up this color to blend out this color. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this one right here, just because look at this shade and then look at that shade and then look at the purple shade. Now when you look at this one and you look at this one together, they would match, right? Because yellow and purple are right across from each other. You're just adding that orange to it, that orange that's right next to that yellow, because these two are paired better together than this and say, I don't know, like red or something like that. I'm not very good at explaining that. I hope that that makes sense for you guys. So I'm gonna grab that yellow, and that's gonna be my transition shade, whether I'm using the orange on the outside or using that orange on the inside. So this is gonna be my transition shade, and I grab it, and of course you guys know I put it higher than my actual crease because of my hooded eyes, and I don't have any primer or anything on my lids right now. I don't even have concealer on them, so I'm kind of just showing you guys what I'm talking about. Then on this side I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna over blend on this side so you guys see when you put all those colors together you can get this ugly brown nasty muddy color, and I'm kind of just putting them on messy. I'm not trying to make this look pretty. I'm just gonna show you guys. So I'm gonna grab that orange that I said with the same brush. Okay, and now on this side I'm gonna over blend it into that yellow. Now these are pigments, so they work a little bit different than a normal eyeshadow, but see how it's getting like kind of weird over here? I'm like really putting it into that yellow. Here, I'm gonna show you on my hand because, and then I'm gonna put the yellow over it. I'm just blending in the shades right now. Okay, so around the edges there, you're gonna see that it looks kind of brown here and here. That's what I'm talking about on the eye. I don't know if you could really see it on camera. But when you over blend your shades too much and you're trying to do like different colors like this on the eye, it starts to look muddy like that. So you need to be very careful of not over blending, and also instead of actually blending, you kind of just placing the shade on top of it instead of blending so much, so that that color is still popping but it's still kind of blending in together because you have those two shades overlapping each other like it is there. Don't worry about that. Like I said, this is a messy kind of thing. I'm not trying to make it look pretty right now. Then I'm gonna grab that purple, and then we're going to blend it into that yellow. I'm gonna tap it on, kind of just wiggle my brush on that yellow, because that yellow and purple, if you over blend them, they're gonna start looking really muddy fast, especially because this is a darker shade. And the same thing with the orange, so I'm kind of tapping over the orange here instead of like really blending it. And of course you don't want them to look like a line either, so you're gonna go back with that orange and just place it a little bit over the purple until you see that it looks more blended than an actual line, like how it's looking right there. Okay, so my camera cut me off, but I did put purple, and I was telling you guys about the purple and yellow out here are gonna start looking real muddy here, because when you over blend, that's what happens. Even into the orange. I'm gonna go ahead and put it over the orange as well, because there is such thing as over blending, and then that's when it gets crazy and it starts looking muddy. Oops. I'm making a mess. But if you guys can see that there on that edge, it's looking muddy fast, because if we over blend too much, and it's not even, the color's not even safe, but it's kind of looking brown over here now, and even onto the orange. I didn't put much orange on there. Let me grab this and you guys will see here what I mean. It's already starting to turn brown there, right there in the center, because of it being so blended into each other. So when you're doing pairing colors that don't seem to match, you guys see like there's like a little hue of brown there. It doesn't look too much like a brown, but you can see it here on the outer corner. You can see it here, opposed to this side where I kind of just was placing the color there and kind of a little bit blending, but not too much, because you don't want to end up with something like this. So that's how I choose my colors. A lot of it is trial and error. If I don't like what shades look good together, definitely start over, but it's all about experimenting and also bringing other colors into the look that are already on your lid, if that makes sense. Kind of like that look that I showed you guys, like this one, because I had that gold right here. I put yellow up here to make it more cohesive and make it look like it's more put together. And then of course with your lip and all of that, it's gonna make the look come more together. together when you have everything matching, or not matching, but like your blush or something like that. Like say you have a blue eye look. Now that's where I have a hard time figuring out what kind of blush I want to use, but I always see like, okay, if I'm using blue, what blush will go with that blue? What kind of shift does it gear to like that blue? Is it a purple blue? Is it like a pink blue? Is it more cool tone blue, like a blue, stuff like that? You're gonna want to look at to really complete the look, even if it's just that the eyes that you're worried about, because that's what's really gonna make that eye look come together, is everything else that you put in your face as well, like your blush, your lipstick, your highlighter. Even your highlighter sometimes can make a difference. Highlighters are kind of like champagne or frosty or gold, more of those tones than any other kind of tone. So you're gonna want to look at that kind of thing, like what kind of colors are you using in your eyes to match that. A lot of warm palettes like oranges, reds, all of those kinds of colors, blushes you could use are orange or pinks. Not like your cool tone pinks, of course, because that's gonna look different, right? I mean, unless you're going for that kind of look. But I don't know if any of this stuff that I'm saying is making sense to you guys. I hope that it does. But the easiest way for you to figure out how to use a palette and pair colors together is to really look at your palette. For beginners and you don't want to start like using shade from one end to the other, that is absolutely fine. You can do that. But like palettes like this, if you're not used to pairing colors together, you could always look at the quad situation that I was talking about. So these 4 colors here together would definitely make a very pretty eye look. You can use this one as a transition shade. This one would be your outer corner, this would be your inner corner, and this would be your lid shade. But most of your eyeshadow palettes are laid out in a way for them to be pleasing to the eye and for them to work together. Even like the next 4 over, or not the next 4, but if I wanted to use still these 2 here and these 2 here, I could definitely still use those together. I can use these 4 together. Even though it doesn't look like you can, you would use the bright pink, I would say, as a transition shade, most likely. Or you can even use this one as a transition shade. Even though it's darker, you can still use it as a transition shade. You can put this color on your crease very, very lightly. Use this color on the outer corner. Use this on the lid, and use this on top of the lid, or on top of that pink, or even as a inner corner highlight. There's just so many ways to use an eyeshadow palette. A lot of it, like I said, for me is trial and error, and also having that background, knowing that sometimes colors can get muddy together if you over blend. And also knowing your color wheel, that is really going to help as well, just because if you know what complementary colors are. So say you don't have a true green, let me go to that palette real quick. If you don't have like a true green, so say I'm using this poopy green over here and I want to see what color can I pair it with, I can use this color right here, because that's still a green and this is still a red, just a darker red, you know what I mean? So I can definitely use these 2 together to make a look. If you guys want to pair them together, you definitely could. Or if you wanted to use a burnt orange with something like this, you can definitely do that, because this has a hint of orange in it. For me, it's all about the color wheel and how you look at it. There's just so many ways to pair eyeshadows. But for me in that look, I know those seem like colors that wouldn't go together, of course. There's a lot of looks that I have like that that you wouldn't think to pair together just because they're not your norm. Like this one here where I used that orange and then teal and purple and like a darker maroon color. And if you guys see there on the outer corner there, when I tried to blend those 2 together, I was very, very light-handed with it. So if you overblend, that's when you start to get muddiness and shades that just do not look good together. This one where you have like green and orange and gold and teal, no over blending on those kinds of looks. But when you go and make a monochromatic look, of course you're gonna blend colors together that are next to each other, because it's more of a monochromatic look, kind of like this, where you see that you have those colors blended. Now the other ones, if you look at it, they are blended, but it's not over blended where there's like one shade and then a middle shade and then a shade after. you know, like a gradual kind of thing going on. So knowing your colors really and what kind of shift they are. So say there might be like a green that has a little bit of yellow in it, you can use a yellow. So kind of like these ones, these are harder to do, and actually it's not one of my favorite looks that I've done, because if you guys see, it does look like there's lines on those, like each color has their own line, things like that. What makes it look good, to be honest with you guys, is putting eyeliner on. Because when you first just have the colors on, it doesn't look like a look, because you have them so separated, because if you blend them too much together, they start to look like brown. Like I said, there's a lot that goes on with color theory and color in general, and the way that we use colors in art. Of course, they're not specifically the same way that you would use them as an eyeshadow, but a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities as how you would use them. So that's how I use my eyeshadows. I don't know if I'm very good at explaining what I do. But I just plan out in my mind, okay, if I put this color here, what is the undertone of it? Is it a more of a green, or is it more of, you know, like what is the undertone of that shade? And then just pair it with the shade that I think it's going to blend well with. And a lot of that comes from just the art background in me. If you are a beginner, like I said, the easiest way to know what colors you're gonna use together is going to be using that whole quad thing, or using them across, or even like a monochromatic look. Use different shades of that shade. If I wanted to do a monochromatic orange look, I'm gonna use a lighter orange, a darker orange, a in-between orange, and then go in with an orange on my blush and an orange on my lip, or something like that. And that's what a monochromatic look is, in case you guys didn't know that. There is another one called analogous color, which is like colors that are next to each other. So like that monochromatic look that I was talking about, or like colors that are next to each other, like on a rainbow, that kind of thing. When people do rainbow looks, like green, blue, and purple are gonna go on one side, red, orange, and yellow are gonna go on the other side, because those colors are next to each other. Or like if you wanted to use like these right here, green, darker green, blue, those three shades would make an eyeshadow look. Same thing with the oranges, or yellow, like a lighter orange, and then you have your orange. Those kinds, that analogous colors, there's a wheel for those too that you guys can look up. You can do purple, violet, like a red tone kind of thing, like a sunset, like when you're doing sunset look, using orange, red, and like a darker red, like a burgundy red or something like that. All those like that. When you look at palettes, that is what you're looking for if you're wanting to create something like that. But as to like doing bright colorful looks, that's more of a trial and error kind of thing. And like I said, your best bet is going to be placing the colors and then kind of blending it together a little bit, because if you're over blending, you really want to blend all those shades out, it's not going to work out very well, and it's going to start looking muddy, and they're going to start looking brown, and you definitely do not want that. That is what I know about color and how I use my colors and my eyeshadows, and that's how I pair mine. Everybody has a way to do makeup. There is no wrong way to use it. Use it as you please. You use whatever colors that you think are good together. And sometimes there's looks that I don't like, that I've done, that I don't like how they look together. I do make errors, and I do pair colors that I don't like together all the time. I like this one, but it wasn't like one of my favorite ones that I've done. But it's kind of like what I'm wearing right now, only I put a green in between. Sorry, my phone is so dirty. But if you guys see that, it's not one of my favorite ones, but I made it work. It's just trial and error really for those kinds of looks. I've seen other artists and how they do their work. Most of them don't really blend out those shades when they're using colors like that. They place them instead of blending them, just because if you blend them, they start to look muddy. So blend them a little bit, but not in a lot where you're gonna start to get your shades looking muddy. That's pretty much what I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any questions about anything, do my best to answer your questions. I'm not very good at explaining. I hope that this video made sense to you guys. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next one. Toodles!